East and the West. From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the primetime capper, fresh off the plane from Kansas City, Missouri. I was over at the NFL draft round one and for a couple activities and everything the day before the draft, which was beautiful. We was at the Play 100 clinic over at Central Middle School in Kansas City. The kids was out. They was playing football, hitting the dummies, doing all the good stuff, doing all the fun football drills. I even saw some young ladies out there juking and doing all types of crazy shit. So it was off the hook. It was great. And the guys showed up. We had a lot of great rookies there. We had Bryce Young, who I was able to speak to. Also was able to kind of speak to CJ Stroud a little bit. Had a good interview with Anthony Richardson, a very positive kid. He said that Tim Tebow is the GOAT of Florida. Nobody else, hands down, period. But you guys can catch that on Fanatics View. Also, I was able to talk to Joey Porter Jr. That's probably the funniest guy in the green room yesterday. And then Jordan Addison as well, too, the USC wide receiver. Had a great conversation with him on Wednesday as well. But it was a beautiful night last night for these guys because I really was able to soak in the moment a little bit better because it was the topsy-turvy Vegas, you know what I mean, pretty much last year when we did the draft. And Vegas was a little unorganized. So pretty much you're already frustrated coming into the venue because you have to search for the venue for an hour. So, and then you missing stuff. And then by the time you get in there, you got to go into the press room and all that stuff. But I thought that this draft right here, Kansas City was a little bit more uniform. Things were a little bit easier to get to. It seems like they're used to handling things like this. You know what I mean? So pretty much it was a fun experience in that, right? Also, I want to go ahead and be like, hey, barbecue. They did well. They did well. You know what I mean? You guys, check out Slaps. It's pretty good. It's on the Kansas. It's on the Kansas side. So you guys, it's not too far from downtown Kansas City. But let's get to the draft in general. Bryce Young last night goes number one to the Carolina Panthers. No surprise there, even though they tried to make it seem like there was some type of controversy going on with that situation where that, possibly the Panthers would go with Will Levis, a guy who didn't even get picked in the first round yesterday. And I told you guys when I looked at his tape that I didn't see a first round grade on that guy. But I'm not a scout. But I did play the quarterback position, believe it or not. I know I'm a big fella, but I played the position as well too. And I think I kind of mastered it at Madden as well too. So but I know that does not compare to any pros, anything of that nature. But I know what it takes to really win in this league. And you have to be leader. You have to be a leader of men. And that's exactly what Bryce Young is. There was no way Bryce Young was not going to be the first pick of the draft. Bryce Young checked off on all the lists. He played for Nick Saban. He also played for the heralded Modern Day school out in Santa Ana in Orange County, which is one of the top ranked programs in the nation year in and year out. And literally, when you are the starting quarterback at that school, the pressure is just like the NFL because they don't go into seasons with expectations and saying, hey, it'd be great if we go 9-3. It's championship or bust every year. And they took a kid from Pasadena, California, who was 5'9" and about 160 pounds, and he turned into one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever went to that school. And he also won a Heisman, just like Matt Rhino, and just like Carson Palmer, who also went number one. So it was a beautiful moment in a sense because it was just the right time to show that, the moment is here. the black quarterback has arrived. And we're not going to say black quarterback anymore. We're just going to say the quarterback. We don't need to use the skin tone anymore. It's the quarterback because we went second, CJ Stroud. But let me break that situation down for you. CJ Stroud was kind of a 50-50 thing for the Texans. The Texans were very high on Will Anderson. But this is what happens in war rooms. The coach wants the defensive player because he's a defensive guy. The owner wants a quarterback because that's what the city, that's what the local media is demanding that they pick. So they were never going to live it down if they didn't draft CJ Stroud. Straight up. I'm thinking to myself, the way how good Jake Haener is, you could have waited to the second round to go get him, but you didn't do that. What you did was went ahead and you made history last night. You did something that no other team really has the moxie to do, but you had the assets to do it. And they went ahead and traded back into the third spot. If you were in, I know you guys were watching the draft, but for the folks that weren't watching the draft and aren't reading about it, pretty much when they drafted CJ Stroud, I had already confirmed to you guys hours before the draft that the third pick was going to be traded, but we just didn't know who the team was going to be. So the Titans, once their name was mentioned, the Texans knew that they had more firepower than the Titans. So they went ahead and moved into that position and drafted Anderson third instead of second. So then you get your booking DN, and you get possibly the face of the franchise at the quarterback position. But to me, CJ Stroud is kind of a 50-50 situation. With the Ohio State, the guy the IQ isn't really what the announcers say it is because the guy was kind of programmed he was programmed last year. The coach literally throws the plays out there. He runs the play. He can anticipate. He can throw guys open. There's things like that. But he did make a lot of mistakes in games that were just like, you're going to get killed in the NFL if that happens. And I feel like the greatest example of knowing exactly who CJ Stroud is when you cut on the Michigan team. Michigan's defense is very comparable to NFL defense, the top NFL defense. So I think that there's going to have to be a little bit of patience with this kid. You can't expect him to come in day one and turn the Texans into the champions of the AFC South. That's not going to happen. They have to build these things. They have to build it brick by brick. They have about 2 to 3. They have about a 3-year window if they're winning games. So, it's a fresh start. It's almost like a brand new franchise right now. They literally rebirthed the franchise in a sense to say that let's get the same success we had a decade earlier. Because people have to understand the moment Peyton Manning left the Colts and the AFC South opened up, it became the Texans division. And the Texans have had some really sour seasons because of what goes on off the field. So I think that if you draft the character, you got right on with Will Anderson. But there's something about CJ Stroud. I've seen him at the draft. I saw him over at the tank fight. I've seen him at all these places. And I feel like it's a lot of entitlement there. And I know that he has a story where he comes from a single family, single mother and sisters and all that good stuff, the typical black man story, right, in today's America. And I think that's the way that you kind of say, okay, this guy's going to be one of those guys. But then you look at Bryce Young. He comes from a 2-parent home. He's comfortable in everything he does. And he's so humble in everything he does. And I think that, Stroud is fake humble. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, by the time he couldn't handle the pressure when they was asking him about the test. So that goes back to leading men. You're not leading little boys no more at Ohio State. But at the end of the day, I do wish him very well. I want him to win. As an Ohio State fan, I want to see him have nothing but success and break the curse of Ohio State quarterbacks not being much when they get to the NFL. But if anything, we can all say that the Texans did win the first round. It's really simple because they got 2 highly rated draft picks, and we'll see what they do with it. Now, when it comes down to Indianapolis, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little game, and it's going to come out later on. But I know how NFL war rooms work. There was a division on who the quarterback was going to be. The owner, Jim Irsay, knowing him, he wanted Will Levis. For sure, he wanted Will Levis because Will Levis, can be one of them guys, one of your boys. You know what I mean? One of those guys that you feel like you can trust, even though he doesn't show much on tape. He had a great season, but he had stellar teammates as well too. You have to give them credit. And the guy did transfer from Penn State because he couldn't ever get on the field. So there's things that you got to kind of factor in. You might have to be a quarterback that you have to, mold a little bit. You might have to really take your time with it. So that means that a situation in a winning situation, a playoff situation with a veteran quarterback might be better for Levis, right? But Levis really does, it's a hard sell for me. And I think that the coach really slammed his hand on the gap on the table and said that he had to have Anthony Richardson because he's thinking about Jalen Hurts and he knows that he can control this quarterback. So pretty much the offense, they're saying that they're going to be a running team. So what they want to do is they want to be physical, and so they want to have a quarterback that can go ahead and actually do some exciting things for them with his feet. And I think Jalen Hurts was the selling point of picking Anthony Richardson, who's really still a project player. In his situation, he's not really a day one starter, but he can develop into a dynamic player with the right coaching. And I think with his attitude, when I did speak to him, he is a guy that can lead your team. And I think that he has a good attitude, especially playing at the University of Florida where you have a lot of distractions. So he should be good, but once again, the bustability is very high on that. But he's a good guy. He's a good kid. But the NFL is a tough place. Let's just keep it real. Then you got number 5. There's not much to talk about there. Devin Witherspoon is considered the best corner in the draft because he's fast and physical. He's big. I see the kid. Yeah, the guy's huge. So it was fun talking to him as well too. And he was very excited to go play for Pete Carroll. And also, it was really funny at the end of his pick, at the end of his presser with us, he actually sat there with us for a few moments because they drafted his teammate, his brand new teammate from Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So it was pretty cool to see that they got a highly coveted cornerback, and they got who was considered the best wide receiver in the draft and the first wide receiver off the board as well too at 20. So it was a surreal moment for both guys, and I think that was absolutely amazing in a sense. But that seems like I think Devin Witherspoon will be a guy that's an absolute fit for the Seahawks, so that should work out as well too. Let's talk about the Raiders a bit. Raiders. And you know what? I keep it real. I don't have to say much about what the Cardinals did. The Cardinals did what you do when you got to play it smart. And I told people Paris Johnson was the safest pick in his draft, and they got Paris Johnson. Paris Johnson's a legacy for that team as well too. I didn't know that. So pretty much, his father played for that team 24 years ago. He was drafted by this team, so he has a connection to Arizona. So he could be a guy that it turns into a possible Hall of Famer because he reminds me of his attitude reminds me of Jonathan Ogden, all the real smart left tackles and things of that nature, and he's very articulate as well too. So he's a good leader that will be a very good bodyguard for old Kyler for as long as he lasts in Arizona. Now, Tyree Wilson is a guy that had a foot issue, but he was rumored to go from 3 to 7. And even at some teams was even talking about him going number 1. So I think that Tyree Wilson, he checks off on everything. He has all the physical attributes. He's a big man, but he's not a big man like a fat man. He's a big man like Mr. Universe. And pretty much that's all good and well for the the pony show, but you're going to have to show results. And he's going to have a great way of being able to make an impact because he has Max Crosby on the other side. So there's a lot of things. The Raiders made the right pick. They picked the best player available. That's what the Raiders did. But I think, though, the best pick of the night, and that's because I'm kind of running back biased a little bit. I'm getting tired of how they treat running back. I come from the era where it's the balance game that wins you the game. So you can't discredit a running back. And when you got a horse, you got to ride that horse. And I think Bijan Robinson was the absolute best fit for Atlanta. I know a lot of people didn't like that pick, but that's just because they don't want Atlanta to be a force to be reckoned with, and that's exactly what they look like a little bit now because their running game is going to be one of the better running games in the league. And if you have, and look at the numbers, all the top running teams make the playoffs. I've looked at it as well too. A lot of the top passing teams don't make the playoffs. So it's a crazy stat, but once again, it's a balanced situation. So I think that John Robinson is possibly a guy that you can probably circle for Rookie of the Year on the offensive side. And I think that he's very humble. And Ricky Williams even said that he was a top 5 guy and that he would be a better running back than he was in the NFL. And, I told him that last night, and he said that meant so much because it's coming from big bro Ricky Williams. So that's a lot to factor in. So pretty much those were my takeaways from that draft. And also congratulations to Christian Gonzalez, the first ever Colombian to make it to the NFL. He's Colombian American. His father's from Colombia, but he made it to the NFL. It was a beautiful moment. And he also wore the country flag in his jacket, which was beautiful. And Jackson Smith Ajaba was a little quiet, but he seemed very happy about making it as well too. And he's very excited about playing for Pete Carroll. And I think that there's a great dynamic that's happening there with Lockett, Metcalf, and Jackson. So I think, though, what they're trying to say there, though, that they possibly might be moving on from Tyler Lockett because he is an injury-prone player, and they are paying him a couple dollars. So, we'll see how it goes. But all in all, I could talk about the draft all day, and I could. But, real quick takeaways, what to expect in round 2 and 3. The 4 guys that were left in the green room will be going in the top 2. Then I'll just be honest with you. Just sit back and watch the show go, because this is where you get your players for real, for real. First round is a pageantry situation. That's you gambling on big. That's you gambling on big potential. Second and third round, you've done sound homework on these guys, and these are the guys that you feel like you're not reaching on. You feel like that you're really taking a guy that fits what you're doing. And I always feel like these 2 rounds are the most important rounds when you're actually building a great team. So it should be fun today. I expect some great things to happen. And it is what it is. It's a beautiful day today. And it's another day that dreams will be fulfilled and hard work. All I can say is that you don't want to keep dogging these kids out, because the thing is, they work so hard for this moment. It doesn't matter what their careers are going to be at today. It's about them being able to be celebrated for all the hard work that they put in to get to this level. So once again, to all the draftees and to everybody that's a part of the draft, good luck to you. And, congratulations. That's all I can say. And even for the guys that don't get picked, congratulations, because you were considered and you'll get your opportunity. All it is motivation. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the Dodgers real quick. The Dodgers. We don't have to be fast. We don't have to be too long about this. The Dodgers did well. Finished the road trip 4-3, but they dropped the series to the Pirates. That's now dropped the last 7 out of 9 to the Pirates. So the Dodgers, come on, fellas. You know what I mean? Because the Pirates are the best team in the National League at the moment, but the Dodgers should have won. The Dodgers should have won some more games in that series. So I'm not too disappointed, but they do have a series tonight starting against the Cardinals, so that should be good. And I feel like that should be a lot of fun for everybody. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we'll just go from there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into the state of the Lakers. And you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Kappa, and I'll be right back at you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Kappa, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into it. State of the Lakers. The Lakers are in position right now to go ahead and close out the series. I won't be too long about this. I've told you guys exactly what it needs to be. I told you guys that the Lakers probably weren't going to win another roller game in the series. Okay, unless it's probably going to happen. You know what I mean? Because that's the season. But NBA, they're following with NBA tradition. Okay, they're the seventh. Okay, and pretty much the Grizzlies were seen as a championship caliber team until the Lakers cut it on in February. Then it became, here comes the Lakers. And people even forgot about the Nuggets. So pretty much right now, the Lakers are the favorite to win the series, but that's just because they're up 3-2 in the series. And I think a lot of people's expectations were a little bit too high Wednesday night on the Lakers winning that game, knowing that the Grizzlies season was on the line. They weren't going to lose in front of their home crowd like that. And I think the Lakers kind of felt that by the time they got to the 8-minute mark or so, and just told themselves, you know what, we'll go ahead and pack it up and get ready for LA Friday. Sometimes that's not the best mentality to have. You got to keep playing that game until, there's nothing else to go. But the Lakers had a really rough day. As I always say, if the Lakers don't get 5 double-figure scores, the game becomes more difficult to win. The Lakers only had 4. Yeah, AD stepped it up, 31 points, 19 rebounds, but LeBron wasn't there. LeBron had 15 points. That's good for an average guy, but he's LeBron. You expect 25 or better. He still got 12 rebounds in the process, but LeBron even said himself he wasn't good in that game. So literally what happens in that spot is that the Lakers should be motivated tonight to know that we have to play this game like it's game 7. We have to look at this like this could be our final home game of the season. Do we want to go out like this? No, we don't. So pretty much right now, time for talking is over with. The Lakers need to just go ahead and go in there and handle their business, get this win, and go ahead and move on down the road and get ready for the winner of this spectacular matchup that's coming up tonight. And I'm going to get into that right now. That's going to be the Kings and the Warriors. The Kings and the Warriors. Boy, oh boy. The Bay Area's 2 teams. They could be any more opposites. Sacramento's cow country. They're more Central California. You know what I mean? Even though they're Northern California, they're kind of on the bridge of Northern and Central California, and a lot of their fans tend to be Central California people, like my man Mike Abadir. And then you have the guys that rule the Bay, the Warriors. They got San Francisco and Oakland together as one. They call themselves the Golden State Warriors. So the Warriors are like the Lakers. You're a lower seed. And you have the better team, but at the end of the day, though, these teams are up and coming, and they got great players that are ready to go ahead and shock the world. I think tonight the Warriors are coming in here with the idea that we've already won this series. I would say you shouldn't have that mentality because honestly, it really could have been over in 5 if the Kings make that shot in Game 4. And then you could have busted. That would have probably busted the Warriors' momentum right there. And I'm telling you right now, the Kings already had their third win. They would have knocked this series out. But the Kings started to show their youth a little bit. Mike Brown's doing a great job coaching them, but I don't think that they have that guy that can really go ahead and take them over the top. Sabonis is awesome. De'Aaron Fox, a gem. Keegan Murray, love the kid, but he's non-existent. That's a problem. Shooter, great shooter, but he's non-existent. That's a problem. So they're going to need a little bit more from those two. Malik Monk is doing a hell of a job off the bench. So the Kings tonight, they need to tell themselves, are we still mediocre or are we here? We got the coach of the year. We got the kid who just we got 2 all-stars on this team. Warriors are great. 4 championships, 7 years, all that good stuff. But we here to go ahead and end that. That's the mentality you need to have going into that. Because the Warriors got it in their head that you're going to lay down tonight. And you're going to lay down early. Don't be that. I'm looking at the spread right now. That's absolutely stupid. What was the score last time they played in San Francisco? Yeah. Kings lost by 1 point. And let me give you a fun fact before I move on to the Suns Nuggets preview real quick. Every time the Kings lost 3 games this season, they would bounce back and win the 4th game. And that has been the mentality. They didn't lose too many consecutive games. And I think tonight they'll go ahead and put on their effort cap. And I think it's all hands on deck tonight. The Warriors better watch out. That's all I can say. Because I know the Warriors know how to close out series. I know they know how to do all the great stuff. But at the end of the day, when you got a team that I feel is a little bit younger, a little bit hungrier, and a little bit more, a little frustrated, that's a dangerous team. If they can find some leadership from the oldest guy on the team tonight, they should be in a good position to win this game. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And I got plenty of stuff on Talkin Tickets about this as well, too. So you guys will be fairly surprised, but it's going to be big value. All right. Suns Nuggets preview. This is going to be a good series, okay? This is going to be a great series. It's going to be a series that has a lot of back and forth topsy-turviness, but we all know the Suns do own the Nuggets. Remember, Suns and foe. So, they're still living that, Denver. And that was a fan situation. But the Nuggets are the most complete team in basketball. They're the deepest team in basketball. They roll 10 deep, and the other 2 guys can play too. So this team is a team that you have to take very seriously. I felt like they took too much. I felt like, losing that game to Minnesota was good for them. So they don't go into the next series with the idea that this is going to be a walk in the park, because this literally right here is a 50-50 match. Kevin Durant is the Kevin Durant is the Kevin Durant is the X factor. He's the best player in the series. It's the same situation that the Heat had with Jimmy Butler. We'll talk about that in a moment. But if this guy goes off, all bets are off, pretty much. It don't matter how deep you are as the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to have to really step this thing up right here. And they're going to have to make it to where they're going to have to make it to where it's only one score. You can't have Devin and KD 25 or better in a game. Chris Paul, you can hold him in place. But I think the thing is, though, you're going to have Jokic really be MVP in this series because I know Aiden is gunning for a great defensive performance against the guy. So it's going to be a really good series. The Western Conference, as I said before, is parity, and seeds really don't matter in this playoff right now. But in all honesty, the conference where the seeds really don't matter right now is in the Eastern Conference because we have the New York Knicks, the 5 seed, playing against the 8 seed Heat. And I think we had something like this back in the day as well, too. You know what I mean? Knicks, Hawks in the second round, but the Knicks were the 8th seed, the Hawks were the 4th seed. But the Knicks went ahead and swept that series. But the Knicks are feeling themselves right now. They got a lot of momentum right now. They beat one of the better teams in the NBA right now in the Cavs. The Cavs had one of the deepest units too in basketball, but it looked like they needed Kevin Love there for some wisdom, and they didn't have him. They had a bunch of kids out there playing. So you got rid of your in-house vet, the guy who won the championship for the team, the last one left, and I think that it killed you in the playoffs. And then when you look at Miami, who plays on Miami now? Kevin Love. And Kevin Love is hooked up with Jimmy Butler, and Kyle Lowry is tagged in as well too. And as I said, the Bucks got beat because the Heat have their number. Jimmy Butler destroys them. Let's go back to the bubble. Let's revisit the bubble. And Jimmy Butler gave them the business. Y'all didn't see that coming. And it happened. So why was everybody so shocked when the Heat won the series, being the Southeast champion? You know, they could have been the 7th seed, but they had a little bad game against Atlanta and they had to fall back a bit. But now they're in tune. They heated up at the right time and they were able to beat the Bucks in what you would say 2 very outer body legendary games that you won't see much, but he did it. And the Bucks allowed it. So pretty much you're moving on. But one thing I'm gonna say before I get on the next is that the Heat have a way better team than they had when they beat the Bucks in the bubble. And the Bucks had a much better team. The Bucks probably had a much better team back then as well, too, in reality. Even though it's pretty much the same guys. You know what I mean? So pretty much the Heat coming here, I would say, as somewhat the favorite in this series, even though the Knicks are the hotter team. But the Heat are a division champ. That's different. Division championships are tough to win. And in that bad division, it was tough to win. So the Knicks are in position for the first time in about 15 years in the second round. I don't know when it is. It's been so long with the Knicks and playoffs and making rounds and stuff like that. But the Garden's electric, and the home court advantage is to the Knicks. And I think that the Knicks need to take it one game at a time. This is not going to be a series that you're going to win early. It's a series that you're going to have to fight to win, pretty much. You always have to fight to win, but I'm talking about you have to claw and scratch because these two teams are sworn enemies, straight up. All right? So pretty much when it comes down to it, when I look at this series right here, it has 7 games written all over it. The winner takes all at the Garden on a Sunday. Watch. And it will be must-see TV. But one thing I will say before we go on to our next commercial break is this. playoffs are a much better place when you have the New York Knicks involved in it. Yeah, when you have the New York Knicks involved in it, the Los Angeles Lakers involved in it, the Boston Celtics involved in it, the Philadelphia 76ers involved in it. And they made the playoffs a little bit somewhat missing in action, and that would be the Chicago Bulls. So, if you have those teams in the playoffs all at the same time, ratings are going to be great. And I think that the NBA office is absolutely ecstatic that they have the Knicks in the second round with a possibility of playing in the Eastern Conference Finals against either one of their rivals in the Celtics and the 76ers. And everybody should know in that triangle, that's the oldest rivalry in basketball in the NBA. So that series is going to sell big time. And then with the possibility of Lakers Celtics, you already know what's up. But it could be a possibility of Lakers Nets. So they would have it would be an absolute, they would be literally, they would, all primetime slots. Seriously. Box office. You know what I mean? The celebs and everything that will be out for that. So if the NBA really wants to win back the fans, you might want to get Knicks Lakers. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. All right. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and take one last commercial break. When I get back, we will talk those tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only PBS. Hey.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right. We are back. And let's go ahead and get into it. You guys, I love it. You love it. And let's get into talking tickets. Talk them tickets. We're going to talk those tickets. But first, before we get into talking all the way to talking tickets, let's talk about the MLB dog bet of the day. And that's going to be the Phillies plus 125. The Phillies are playing against the Astros today. You got Aaron Nola on the mound with plus money. Stop playing. Don't play with me. I'm doing it. I got to do it. And, man, I'm still mad at the Marlins, what they did the other day. Them boys is up 4-2 and blew the game. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have a shot yesterday because I was and then yesterday I lose by 1 with the Mets in the Nationals game. So, you guys just, at the end of the day, I know some days you guys are like, why does this guy keep doing this? Well, I'm just trying to give you the best value. You know what I mean? As I always say, it's a risk reward situation with it, but it's a small risk, nice reward. So all you got to do is pretty much go ahead and put up the wager. You don't lose any juice. You just lose the wager. And so pretty much these bets, when you know how to play them right, it's going to be like this. You know what I mean? When you know how to play them right, a lot of times people chase the plus 125, the plus 130, the plus 140. But you know me, I get bold. I chase that plus 255 in baseball all day long. It don't matter who the team is because usually that doesn't work out for teams. But we're going to take the Phillies today. And the Phillies should go ahead and snap this little little other losing streak that we got because it got bad. But you see, my head's in the right place. They just got to finish the job. So there it is, plus 125. Our MLB dog bet of the day. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. You can play or fade it, and we go from there. All right, so pretty much we have ourselves Talkin Tickets. And Talkin Tickets up first. Let's get into the PrimeTime MLB PK6. All right, 58-1, plus 1.5, minus 145 to the Mets. All right, Guardians, money line, on the road against the Red Sox, minus 130. Over 7, Yankees, Rangers, and peep game. I'm hearing right now that Judge is having a hip issue. So that probably sounds like the season. Let's keep it real. It's a hip. And it's going to be a while because that's the same thing that kind of ended A-Rod, the hip. So hopefully he can get back from that and not miss too much time, but we'll see. But I'm taking it over tonight. Jacob deGrom's on the mound, but that doesn't make a difference because Clark Schmidt's on the mound for the Yankees. So I think that there's going to be some hitting going on tonight. It's a Friday night in Arlington. It's heating up a little bit, so I expect some hitting tonight. Then we got the Phillies, once again, as my dog of the day, plus 125. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. That's a 50-50 game, but they're going to go ahead and give me some plus money on that. Let's go ahead and rock with it. Then we have the D-backs and Rockies, which will probably be a popular over game, but usually when you get a popular over game, those games go under. So I'm taking the under 11 here because I'm getting such a big number. I know both these teams can rank them and all that good stuff, but these teams have both been in positions where they've had 2-1 games at Coors as well too. And then we end it with the Reds, who are going to be in Oakland tonight. And, this is actually kind of a reunion in a sense. This is like the 25th year anniversary of when they played in the World Series, or not 25th, like 23rd year anniversary that they played in the 33. I gotta keep remembering that it's the 2000 was 23 years ago. This World Series played in 1990, so 33 years ago, these guys met in the World Series. The Reds won that World Series as well too, and that was absolutely fun to watch. And so the Reds hook up with the lowly A's tonight. The A's got absolutely battered around by the Angels, but they did get a win out of that situation. They always get 1 or 2 wins a week, maybe one. So, you just got to prepare yourself for that. But I think the Reds know they're in a good spot tonight. They got a good pitcher in Sessa, and the A's are rocking with a pitcher that's kind of an unknown. So this is always a tricky bet. But I think tonight the Reds got our back with a good, solid win by 2 or more runs. So I'm going to go ahead and take that plus 140 tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Now I'm about to piss you off. Nephew, you heard me? You heard me, nephew? I'm about to piss him off now. For all you people who were yelling in my ear, Warriors are going to win this series. They got this. Oh, the same team that was crying the first 2 games that they lost because they weren't better than the Kings? Yeah, all right. You got your little momentum together. That's good. That's cool. But the Kings are going to beat you tonight. I don't care. I think that De'Aaron Fox understands that he has to be a distributor. He can't worry about being a shooter tonight. He has to be a distributor. Or they just go and put his backup in, and split their minutes a little bit better. As I said before, I expect a big game from Keegan Allen. And I expect a big game from Uter as well, too. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But I got Kings money line plus 250 to get the win tonight. Then I got the Kings at the half plus 4. And then I also have the over 60.5 first quarter. So that's going to be our bets for game 6 in that series. And then we got the Lakers. I got the Lakers closing the series out. Lakers winning. I feel like the Lakers win this game by 10 or better because Dylan Brooks is talking way too damn much. And it's time to go ahead and shut that boy up. Straight up. I don't troll. I don't talk trash about players or anything like that. But that's one dude that really don't have a place to talk any trash, because he's won no championships, and he's had nights where it's just been completely just, what are you doing, bro? But he's a basketball player that helps you win games, because he's agitating, he's annoying, and he finds ways to put his imprint on a game. So you're still gonna have to watch out for him. And Desmond Bain having his little mouth off and everything like that, that's fine. They need the motivation, and the Lakers needed it too. So let's go ahead and circle the Lakers to win this game tonight. I also have the over 108.5. And then I also have the Lakers money line first quarter. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And that's that for Talking Tickets today. So I thank you guys so much for your patience and your time. This was really tough on me to do. As you guys can tell, my voice really isn't like the same, because it's kind of sore, because I kind of lost my voice last night. And literally I had to pull it all night. I'm getting old, man. These all-nighters are starting to be too much, because I had to catch an early flight, 5:40 a.m. to Vegas, and then I got to Burbank about 9. So pretty much it's been one of those days today. So traveling. So I'm going to have to go ahead and fall back. I'm good. I just got to go ahead and take a look. I got to go ahead and shut up for a little bit. I'm good, but thank you, though. I'll feel better. I'll be back to normal on Monday, all right? So I promise. So pretty much there it is. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show. This is the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Kappa. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best.